Welcome to another edition of your personal branding podcast. I'm your host, Bernard Kelvin Clive, and my guest today is Nik Halik.
How are you?
I'm good as gold, and you?
Good.
It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
All right, let me give you what I call an MP3 version of who Nik is. Nik is a multi-million dollar astronaut, international speaker, and I'll say he's a world wonder. It's Nik. Tell us a little more about you. Who Nik is, who really Nik is. You're an extraordinary.
Well, effectively, what I am is I'm like an entrepreneurial alchemist, a maverick entrepreneur, and I'm all about experiential living, about living life in your own terms and conditions at all times.
Experiential living.
Experiential living, as opposed to just like living in a theoretical world. I want to go out there and just excavate my life's purpose. And just have a crazy time. I mean, I want to go out there and just, I want to traverse the planet, visit every country in the world, and I want to have fun, more freedom and more fulfillment in my life.
More fulfillment in your life. Now let's begin how your journey started. It all began at age 17. What happened?
Well, let's go back to as a young kid growing up. So as a young boy, I was very, very sick. I was born 11 pounds. But for 30 days I was placed in an incubator for a period of time because I was very, very sick. I almost died. And I had chronic allergies, I had debilitating asthma for a long period of time. And for the first 10 years of my life, I was medically confined to my bedroom, to my house. And I was homeschooled, not by tutors or teachers, but my parents bought me the Encyclopedia Britannica. And that was my gateway to the rest of the world in relation to knowledge and wisdom. And I pretty much read every page in the encyclopedia. So I'm a product of the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Wow.
And I can.
So whilst you were confined, but that was when you were reading, studying.
Yeah, but chronic allergies, debilitating asthma. So I was a very, very sick child. So I didn't join academia until about age 10. But at age 8, which is kind of like the backdrop to the person that I am today, that is, I wrote down my top 10 list of goals.
That's at age 8.
Age 8. And
what made you write that goal? Because hitherto most people write goals because they've attended seminars or read some books, but suddenly you wrote goals, 10 goals. What inspired you? What gingered you to write those goals down?
I had nothing to lose. And I wanted to prove the world wrong. I wanted to prove the doctors wrong. I wanted to prove the pharmaceutical world wrong because I became addicted to pharmaceutical drugs. Because the doctors were just playing me with drugs just to control my condition over here. And they all told me that I would never be able to live an ordinary life. So for me, it was just more like, I just wanted to prove them wrong. And I'm still proving the world wrong in relation to what I can do, what I can pursue. So at age 8, I drafted my top 10 list of goals, things that I thought were really cool.
So walk us through your 10 goals at age 8. What were the 10 goals?
Some of the 10, well, believe it or not, was having lunch on the Titanic, climbing the highest mountains in the world, becoming a multi-millionaire, helping retire my parents, traveling around the world, having exotic homes around the world, becoming an astronaut, going to space, walking on the moon. There's quite a bit of a list. And of those top 10 list of goals, 8 down, and I have 2 more to go.
Wow, amazing.
So the thing is, these goals have now consumed over 32 years of my life. And in effect, I drafted not knowing it at the time, but I drafted the screenplay to my life. I drafted my own screenplay, which is my top 10 list of goals. And since age 8, I've been the actor, the producer, and the director. And I've just been acting it out. And in life, how do you predict your life? By scripting it and then simply acting it out. And that's all I've done. I've just acted out the screenplay I wrote down as an 8-year-old. And the thing is, that 8-year-old is still inside me. And as an adult now, I'm accountable to that 8-year-old. Because I'm the student, he's my coach. And he holds me accountable every day.
Now let's flip it to kids at your age now, in this digital age. What would be your advice to them, especially even adults who have grown their age, they have no dreams, they're just living their life. What would be the major thing you want to tell them today?
Define your why, what's your purpose, what drives you. See, there are 2 most important days in your life. The day you were born and the day you discovered why you were born. So what drives you? What gets you out of bed? What brings a tear to your eye? What brings a smile to your face? And for me, I knew from a very from long ago that I just wanted to travel around the world because the Britannica had the world's atlas of all these countries that resided outside the boundaries of my bedroom walls. And I knew that I had to work on my health and my condition in order to be able to visit these countries around the world, whether it's Ghana, whether it's any other country in the world. Now here's the thing, in order for me to improve my condition, I stopped taking the drugs. And believe it or not, it was the pharmaceutical drugs that only exacerbated my condition because it kept on weakening my immune system. It's only when I stopped taking the pharmaceutical drugs and said no to the doctors and the pharmaceutical world that my health started to improve.
Now let's look at this. Was it based on your belief system because you stopped taking the drugs and you got better?
Yeah, it was. Look, here's the thing, right? I perpetuated my condition because I surrendered myself to the pharmaceutical world. And was the mindset? Absolutely. Yeah, by ventilating and by aerating my mindset or whatever, and just elevating my thinking, what have you, just working on my faculty of thinking, if you want to call it, I started to transcend to a different level over here. And I started to gain control of who I was.
Can you quickly walk us through some of the processes? Firstly, one may want to know, how do I discover my purpose? I'm 40 years old now, I'm 20, I'm 18. I know why I'm here on earth. How do I begin to discover and live that dream of mine?
Rekindle the relationship of your inner self. Here's the thing, right? In the physical world, right, we all exercise to keep fit, right?
Yeah.
But how many of us actually exercise in relation to working from within? And when you work from within, you start to change the polarity of your thinking, and you start to deploy linguistic kill shots of your language in relation to how you relate to the rest of the world. And the most important thing is this: when you're a kid and you're growing up, your dreams were more vibrant than an adult. Yeah. Because as an adult, we become more conditioned by what? Society. We become institutionalized, and we just become a warehouse of facts, and we lose sight of the bigger picture in life. But as a young kid, you want to be an astronaut. I want to be an astronaut. You want to be, as a kid, you're more vibrant. I'll give you an example. If you gave 2 coloring book sets to a kid and an adult, the kid's coloring set will be more colorful, using a mosaic of different colors, right? The adult will be very, a young kid will color outside the lines. An adult colors inside the lines. Interesting, isn't it? And you have to revisit and rekindle that child within you, because the kid does one thing in particular: they ask questions. Children probe curiosity. That's why, as a parent, I'm not a parent, but any parent understands that the kids drive them crazy with what? Questions. Because they're challenging the status quo, they're probing curiosity. As an adult, we don't ask questions.
Where do you lose all this when you're growing up?
It's the conditioning of society. We're reprimanded for asking questions. That's why we become more statement orientated. We're kids, they ask questions. Ask questions and ask questions. You know what's really, really sad these days? When I was asking questions, I would go to the Encyclopedia Britannica and I would find the answers. These days I see parents trying to shut up the little kids by saying, stop asking questions, here's your iPad.
Taking it and finding it yourself.
So they can play games. Where's the thirst of knowledge? Where's the sense of wisdom to really just, transcend their young mind? And I see parents who are just really, they don't drive their kids in relation to ambition and drive whatever to, or holding the kids accountable. See, I write down my goals. Nobody told me to write my goals, but I have nothing to lose. Why? Because I want to prove everybody wrong. And all I do every day is this: I've got my top 10 list of goals. I look at them every day. And I do that because I internalize it on a cellular level. Because when you internalize it, it's your internal representation now, and you start to think differently every day. Not only that, I'm very specific because I plan to live a life which is, a maverick type lifestyle. It's a very extravagant type lifestyle. And most importantly is this: I became an entrepreneur and an investor to finance my life and the exploits of my life. See, my business life works around my lifestyle. Most individuals, their lifestyle works around their business life. That's why they have very little time. Because see, I reversed it a very long time ago.
Okay, quickly, can you let us know how you were able to realize your first dream?
Yeah. My first dream was basically the first goal. In the actual list was becoming a multi-millionaire, and it wasn't the materialism, the fast cars and the fast women, all that kind of thing. For me, is I wanted to liberate my parents, because my parents were immigrants. Both my parents were both illiterate, could not read or write. They were a product of the Second World War. They came to Australia on an immigrant ship, and they worked hard as labourers. So for me, I was the youngest of 4 kids, and I just saw the hardship my parents went through, and I just wanted to liberate their life. And that to me was my primary goal. And basically that was going to be my foundation, and then I can scale up from there. But it was all about family.
How did you raise your first money?
Property. I started investing in property as a young child. I mean, I was always a very prolific saver. I used to be able to save money. In fact, my first business at age 14, I opened up a music school. So I was charging $20 an hour when I was 14. Then at age 15, I hired 5 other music teachers. And we now had about 50 pupils every week. And I was running the music school out of my parents' home. So every room of the house I had teachers. And I was paying, so we were charging $20, but I was paying the teachers $10. So I was making $10 on every teacher, right? So I discovered leverage. And then by age 17, I sold that business for about $30,000.
Wow.
And that was the money that I used to move to the United States.
Can you quickly let us know, somebody watching or listening said, okay, I have a big dream, but I have no money. How do I raise money? How do I start my dream now?
Yeah, well, first of all, is if you're passionate about something over here, how passionate are you, first of all? Secondly, is there market demand for that particular product or service or passion?
So passion and the demand for what?
Yeah, market demand. See, for example, if you're passionate about underwater basket weaving, it's not a big market at all, right? If your passion is 17th century wedding dresses, not a very big market. My point is, follow the money. Follow the money first off. In other words, find where the demand is. Okay? Once you establish demand, and if it resonates with your passion, wonderful. The next level is this. Is there something that you can scale up? See, 2 things in life. Get paid to think. Just very carefully now. Get paid to think. Because those who get paid to work for those who get paid to think. So get paid to think and outsource the administration of your ideas to others. Highlight your strengths and outsource your weaknesses. And that's really all I've done. And I've just been really working on that because I know this, look, there is so much out there, and I have this insatiable thirst for knowledge and wisdom. And there is so much we can learn about ourselves by going back into history. Because one thing in life, human emotion will never ever change. How do you predict the future? By going back into time. Because the next 5 years will be the same as the previous 5 years unless you change. And if you don't know where you're going to be in 5 years' time, chances are you're already there right now.
How did you handle dream killers, dream stealers?
Easy.
What do you do?
They'll always be controversial. That way you smoke them out and you can delete them. A really important thing is this. Always set the parameters as to who you invite into your life. You're the most qualified person. The viewers at home, they're the most unique individuals in the world. Out of 1 billion sperm cells, you won the gold medal. Congratulations. Yeah. You are unique. And never allow somebody else's opinion to define your reality. Because, what you're going to accomplish in life, and this is when you start to, and I mentioned before about excavating your life's purpose, and you build upon that, and you just raise the ante, you raise the bar. You become a beacon of light. You just become a lighthouse. You start to illuminate the path for others. And Socrates always said in life, you're going to measure by your contribution. So for me, was the foundational element was to help my family. And then what is emotionally profitable for me is to emotionally inspire and financially inspire other individuals. Because by teaching others, I also learn and discover the process myself. But having said that, that's one element of my life. The other element is pushing the boundaries, and basically, walking that gauntlet of risk, whether it's a volcano or going down 7 kilometres and having lunch in a shipwrecked Titanic, which is what I did. That's pretty crazy. And the reason being is because I wrote that down on my goal, to have lunch on the shipwrecked Titanic. And I worked out a way how to do so. I had no idea how I was going to do it. But the fact that I wrote it down, the map, I already created the treasure map. I just had to discover how to do it. I mean, I'll give an example. Like, I'm the most persistent person in the world. I'll give an example over here. In 2007, I'm not sure whether you know this story or not, but in 2007, I was reading an autobiography by Dr. Paul Brunton. He was this British mystic and was a philosopher, and he had slept in the sarcophagus in the king's chamber of the Cheops pyramid in Giza, Cairo in Egypt. The big pyramid is Cheops, right? It's a 5,000-year-old structure. He slept in a sarcophagus. And I was reading his autobiography here. This book was released back in 1935. And what was really fascinating was he actually flipped and went crazy after his experience of sleeping in a sarcophagus. And I read that book and I'm thinking, hell yeah, I want a piece of that. In 2007, I travelled to Egypt. It was December, freezing cold. And I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I wanted to experience what Dr. Paul Brunton did. I wanted to sleep in the same sarcophagus. And this sarcophagus is very famous in history, and I'll tell you why. Napoleon slept in a sarcophagus, the same one. Herodotus, Sir Isaac Newton, and Alexander the Great all slept in the same sarcophagus in the king's chamber of the Cheops pyramid. For 3 weeks, I went through all the government ministers, all the way to the president of Egypt. It took me 3 weeks until finally I was in a Sudan. I got a phone call and I say, Mr. Halik, you need to be at this airport over here. Military aircraft flew me back to Cairo. Military police escorted to a hotel, to the gatekeepers, and then at midnight, I was ushered into the pyramid. I gave them my 2 terms and conditions. I said, number 1, I want to be locked up inside, padlocked outside. If there's anything inside, whether it's because Dr. Paul Brunton, he flipped out. He basically saw apparitions, ghosts, antagonistic individuals, priests and what have you. He flipped out. Napoleon, you can read about his exploits. In 1798, Napoleon slept in the same sarcophagus. They found him in the morning, in the corner, shivering with fear. And his generals came and got him out. You can read about it, it's a true story. Even Napoleon flipped out because he spent a night alone.
And Nik,
I became the first foreigner since Dr. Paul Brunton. I slept in 2007, since I was the first foreigner since 1935. So I gave my 2 terms and conditions. I said, I want to be locked up inside. Make sure there's locks outside so I can't escape. So whatever's inside, I have to confront it with my belief system. And on top of that, I wanted lights out. I wanted lights out. So imagine this. The oldest man-made structure on planet Earth was my private residence for the night. And I got to sleep in a sarcophagus overnight. And something went down that night. I write about it in my book. I think I like to look at things from a very scientific angle. Something definitely went down. I'll tell you why, because some of the sounds inside the pyramid, but also when they came and got me out, about 6 o'clock in the morning, I had lost my voice for 3 days. I was on mute. I couldn't speak. It wasn't like I just lost my voice. It wasn't like it was hoarse or raspy. I had no voice. My output to the rest of the world, I couldn't communicate for 3 days. After 3 days, bang, my voice just came back. It wasn't sore, I had no voice. I had lost my output. And after 3 days, bang, it just came back.
So what happened? What did you encounter?
I saw a shaman, I spoke to a lot of individuals, and they all said I had an intervention. I experienced something.
Did you And you can explain.
You like to read the book. But it's, you know, it's still to this day, it was the most amazing experience. I've got some crazy video. You know, I'm recording myself, you know. This is before, you know, before iPhones. You know? And there was all these sounds in the background. When I was recording it, the sounds were dead, but when I'm doing the playback, there was all these types of sounds in the background. It's freaky. It really was freaky. Yeah, I was there. I lit up candles. I was doing some ancient chanting. It was just me.
So what has all this taught you? I mean, going to the volcano, to the moon, and let's see, what has it taught you? What is the lesson in that and all that?
That, you know, I truly believe that I can do anything in the world. I mean, for me, it's just a pursuit. It's like, you know, for me, what's important is I love challenges, and I push the boundaries. I push the boundaries. Is it risky? No. Everything is a calculated risk. And I'll give you a perfect example. Like, I mean, you know, I'm an investor, so I calculate my risks when I put money into something in order to generate a return on investment. So I understand that, you know, there are too many individuals that just simply just tiptoe their way to death. And there's a lot of negative people. Negative people will just, you know, or they're incredibly so negative over here, and then they die at 75 years of age, having never really accomplished anything in life. Now, don't get me wrong, with my life, it's not just about the money. Because money is binary. You're either going to make it or you lose it. But the reality of the money is this. Even the most wealthiest individual in the world, you will never own anything in life. You're just a caretaker. It's so true. It's the experience, it's the kaleidoscope along the way. It's the journey. It's the lessons, it's the wisdom. And, you know, even like climbing a mountain, I'm a mountaineer. You know, I've done crazy things on Everest. I did a halo jump off Mount Everest. Everest is the rooftop of the world. People say, why do you climb mountains? It's dangerous. Yeah. Everest, 1 in 4 people die. But here's the thing. For me, the summit is irrelevant. I don't really give a shit about the summit, reaching the peak. What I'm interested in is I learn more about myself on the way up.
Journey.
I learn more about myself on the way up because I come back down a different person every time. Because now I have a different lens or a different perspective, a new vantage point to the rest of the world. Because the mountains give you solitude without technology. Because you look within. You streamline who you are, what you do. You do like a self-audit. And why is that important? Because look, in 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 years' time, you will stop breathing and you'll be fertilizing daffodils. What's your legacy going to be? What's your body of work going to be? Why should anybody give a shit about you? What is saying Nik about you? What was your contribution?
What legacy does Nik want to leave?
For me, is to inspire individuals worldwide to just like seize the day, find the purpose, to find their why, and go out there and just, you know, share the love. You know, dare to dream more fun, more freedom, more fulfillment, and more quality time with your family and your friends. That is what life's all about. And what I do is I'm a 5-day weekend lifestyle strategist. Because these days we're all heavily entrenched in a 5-day work week, where we've got one single source of active income. Why? Because that's the Western world. That's the Western indoctrination upon the rest of the world. And, you know, when you look at the 5-day work week, I mean, Henry Ford invented that back in 1912. See, I want to ask you a question here. 150 years ago, did people have jobs? No, they didn't. Everybody was an entrepreneur. But from 1912 was a creation of what? Of a job. Back then we were all entrepreneurs. 4,000 years ago, ancient Greeks, ancient Egyptians, they're all hustlers, entrepreneurs. Well, they know. They have jobs. What happened? Because a job means your income is capped, and your travel is quarantined. And we all love to travel, but 2 things, time and money. And you work 5 days a week. So in other words, you work Monday to Friday, and you get paroled for the weekend. And you work 4 months, and you get paroled for a 2-week vacation. I need to like rack up more credit card debt, then you have to go back to work to service the debt. See, the way the world works now is how do you control the population? By getting them stuck in what? Debt. Because if somebody has debt, they have what? Fear. They have anxiety. And in order to justify that fear and anxiety, they have to keep on working to service that debt. That's how capitalism controls the populations of the world.
So one of your missions is to free people from the 5-day week work.
Well, the 5-day work week, and develop a 5-day week. In other words, we all love our weekends.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching people how to add 3 days to their weekend.
Can you give us 2 ways quickly?
Well, simple as this: developing more passive income. See, most individuals when they work, they work from Monday to Friday. They make money between Monday 9 a.m. up until Friday 5 p.m. Well, money doesn't stop after 5 p.m. Friday. Money is a 24/7 paradigm shift. Money is 365 days a year. And I often ask people, if you were placed in a coma for 5, let's say you get an accident, okay? You were in a coma for 5 years. 5 years. What would happen to your financial livelihood? What would happen? Yeah. America, the most wealthiest nation in the world. 95% of the American adult population is dead broke. They will live from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. See, here's the thing. Most individuals fall on the wrong side of capitalism. See, capitalism was designed to make sure that you become entrenched in debt. That's how it controls you. You become a slave to the what? Slave to the grind. Slave to working in a job or what have you. You become an employee. In other words, you go to work and you're reliant on somebody else. See, I teach individuals, number one, never get paid by the hour. See, here's the thing. When you get paid by the hour, there are limitations placed on you.
Yeah.
Whose limitations? Somebody else's opinions who are defining your reality. If you're the most qualified person, you're the most unique individual in the world, why would you have limitations? It's like when some individual says, you know what? The sky's the limit. Bullshit. How can the sky be the limit when there are 12 footprints on the moon? No such thing as the sky's the limit. Can you see how there's limitations over here that are placed on us? Languages, the word can't. Try. Try is a failure disease. You either want to do something or you choose not to. The word wish and hope. Don't get me started now. The word wish and hope, languages-wise, the most poorest countries in the world are the most religious countries in the world. Listen very carefully. The most poorest countries in the world are often the most religious countries in the world because religion teaches wish and hope. If you're always hoping, what are you doing? You're hoping on somebody else. See, my point is, if you're not empowering yourself, by default, you disempower yourself. You have to empower yourself, because when you empower yourself, then you can inspire others. But how can you inspire others when you're disempowered yourself? That's why so many people remain poor. And then they remain on what? Welfare. Never be reliant on anybody but yourself. And never get paid by the hour once again. It goes back to my thinking over here. Back in ancient days, we were all entrepreneurs. Back in those days, if the economy was bad, they were merchants. They would go from port to port to port to port. True? These days, we don't think like that. We stay in our own little community over here, and if there's no jobs, we just stay unemployed. Back in the 2,000 years ago, where there was like trading from Cairo to Greece to Persia or to Alexandria, to all the ports around, they were merchants. They were entrepreneurs. And humanity has lost sight of the bigger picture. And now we've become part of what? This cog, this whole system of being slaves. And the 5-day work week was created in 1912. And I'll give you an example over here. And this is something that most people don't understand. Academia, school, is an apprenticeship to getting a job. I'll tell you why. Because in academia, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. True?
Yeah.
True or true? A job, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. So we're all conditioned in academia, and the system was destroying our what? Our ambition, our drive, our thirst for wisdom, our thirst for travel, our thirst for knowledge. And we became conditioned, and our the limitations were placed on us, and you graduate and you get paid by the hour. And in other words, the system was defining your reality. And we surrendered ourselves to the system over here. And we didn't challenge it, because as kids, we were asking questions. But as the passion became extinguished, by the time we became an adult, it's all about statement. We just surrender ourselves to the process, and we don't challenge life anymore.
Nick, so if you had to start all over again, let's say at age 25, born in any country in the world with, let's say, $100, what would you do differently?
Seek mentors.
Seek mentors.
Yeah, find mentors who have what I desire. Learn from their lessons and learn from their mistakes. Work for people for free, just to gain their wisdom. That's what I would do. And I'll give you a place in any country, and within a couple of years, I'll have $1 million again. See, I can lose everything I have right now, and within 2 years, I'll have that money back. It's a formula. Once you have a formula, once you upload that formula, you've got it for life. That is the greatest asset.
So you have a formula in the system.
It's a system. It starts with the thinking, your foundation, but it's understanding how to build businesses. You know, finding market demand, finding products that are very, very unique. I mean, it's just defining your marketplace, but also having a perpetual product which is international, global. There are too many individuals who are very local-nomically orientated with their thinking, where it's like, hey, I'm going to make money just for Accra. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to have products and services in multiple languages worldwide, because money does not sleep. And money's just one element. You know, you're still going to be happy. You're going to be healthy. That's why I tell people, more fun, financial freedom, and more inner fulfillment. You know, I've now been to 139 countries. Ghana was my 139th country.
Wow,
Why?
amazing.
Because I plan to be the most travelled human in history. Why? Because when I was a young kid, I used to study the atlas, the world atlas. Now, those who study the atlas as a young kid have a great desire to travel. Because if you don't know the atlas, you have no idea what's around the world. But for me, my greatest lessons are immersing myself in different cultures around the world, because I gain more wisdom that I apply to my businesses.
All right, Nick, there's been a ton of things you've shared so far for us, and as we round up, we want to touch a little bit on your faith. Do you believe in life after death?
I believe in an entity governing life as we know it. Now, I grew up in a very non-conventional household. My father was a communist. My father was an atheist. My mother was a right-wing Christian Orthodox woman. So I grew up in a very dysfunctional household. So on my dad's side, they were like, you know, hey, it was all communist, it was all socialist, you know, and not a believer of the church. My mother, deeply religious, you know, and I've helped donate money to build her church, you know. My mother goes on Christian tours every year. I mean, for me, my religion is whatever puts a smile on your face. Because whatever puts a smile on your face means you're doing something right. And, you know, work on that vibration, work on that polarity, and then inspire other individuals in the world. Because when you live a life that is rich in health, wisdom, you tend to smile a lot more.
Yeah, that's true.
And less muscles are incorporated, just to smile, you know what I mean? But to me, that is more important in life. I just feel a lot of individuals, they're too reliant on other external factors. That's why a lot of people remain poor.
Do you believe that everyone has whatever it takes within them?
Absolutely, yeah. But they've got to want it. They have to desire it. You know, it's the level of ambition and drive. It's like, how bad do you want something? It's that passion. And a lot of individuals, they lack passion.
So, again, like, so if all is said and done and happens today, whatever happens, do you believe there's a life elsewhere after this?
Yeah, absolutely. Living matter is always recycled. You know, always recycled. I'll give you an example. In the last couple of weeks, I was in a volcano, one of the most live, active volcanoes in the world. People don't understand lava over centuries becomes the greatest fertilizer. You look at every place where there is lava and volcanoes, you have the most richest rainforest in the world, because the matter breaks down the composition of the lava and becomes what? Fertilizer. Then you have rainforest. Everything in life is recycled. See, I know, I mean, how I view life is this. I want to be recycled over and over and over again.
Do you believe in tithing?
What's that?
Tithing.
Yeah, absolutely,
Do
definitely.
you do tithe?
Yeah.
To a church or charity or something?
For me, my charities are endangered species. Endangered species.
So,
I'll give you an example. Gorillas, tigers, orangutans. And the reason being is this. My charities, my foundations are all about endangered species. And the same thing, and many of them actually in Africa, even African elephants, because it's human encroachment that has created endangered species. So the thing is this, in 20, 30 years' time, a lot of kids will be reading about these animals in Wikipedia or history books. I mean, the black rhino in Africa, there's only 4 left. African elephants on the endangered list. And my point is this, I don't see humanity becoming extinct.
yeah.
Okay? But endangered species, and I've always had an affinity with animals. I mean, growing up, I've owned ostriches. I used to own African blacks, big African ostriches. I used to breed them because I thought that was really cool, you know? I've had alpacas, I've had race horses in my life, I've had dogs, I've had every animal. I'm like a modern day Dr. Dolittle, you know what I mean? So I've an affinity with animals, you know? So that's my real charity. With humans, my sense of charity is the foundational knowledge that I can impress upon them, because I want to improve their lives, so long as they pass on the baton of wisdom to somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. Share the love, share the passion, and inspire others. If I teach you, then my goal is to teach you how to inspire 5 other individuals, and then just lubricate that throughout the world.
One phrase I read from your book, Millionaire Astronaut Nik, you mentioned that you don't invest in moving objects.
Yeah, that's very good.
And then your sense of wealth doesn't do with, physical things or being in the mind. That was more empowering and enlightening when I read that phrase. So as we end, what would be your $3 billion advice to the world?
Definitely over here. Create a product that the market needs. You know what I mean? Yeah, find products that the market needs, that has an insatiable desire. Sell the pans and the picks and the shovels. See, I'll give you an example over here, and a bit of a metaphor. In the gold fields, who made all the money? Though the prospectors up to the knees in mud, hoping to strike gold, or the individuals who sold the pans and the picks and the shovels and the equipment? Who made the money? So the prospector was basing it on hope, where those who sold the pans and the picks and the shovels, they made money every time. See, always operate from a space of certainty. That's why I don't speculate, I don't hope. So when I invest, when I create businesses, I know with a greater certainty and probability that this will make money, because I know the market demand and the market forces that will drive this product. I don't come up with something with the hope there is a market for it. I already established the market, and all I do is I service demand. Find demand, service demand. That's all it is.
Find demand, service demand.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nik.
Hey.
If there's any other thing that you want listeners or viewers to know?
I'll say one more time, dare to dream, live with passion, and just make your life an extraordinary adventure. And just inspired. Just be inspired every day. Read books, read history, read books of history over here. Read philosophers over here, and just make your life count, because life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around, you will miss it.
Lastly, where could one get in touch with you?
Hello, I'm very, very kind with my time. Facebook, or you can go to nikhaliklive.com. But just generally, Facebook is the best way. You can probably just go to my public figure page, just like it, and just follow my crazy threads. I share a lot of content on social media. So, pleasure.
It's a pleasure meeting.
Thanks,
Nik. This has been your Personal Branding Podcast Show. Your host has been Kelvin Clive. My guest is Nik Halik. Nik, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure.